Once upon a time, in a quiet little village that looked like it came out of a painting, there lived a young woman named Lily White. Her skin was pale as milk, her hair soft and golden like the first rays of the morning sun, and her eyes the color of the sky just after rain. People in the village often whispered about her beauty, but they also whispered something else. Lily was different. Some believed she was born with magic in her blood. Others said she was just a dreamer who saw the world differently. Lily lived in a small white cottage at the edge of the village, right next to a silver-blue river that sang softly day and night. She spent most of her time tending to her garden, filled with roses so white they almost glowed in the moonlight, and daisies that seemed to smile when the sun touched them. She loved the quiet, but sometimes deep inside she felt a longing. It was as if her heart was waiting for something, or someone. One breezy spring morning, Lily went to the river to collect fresh water. The air smelled of wet grass, and the gentle wind carried the songs of distant birds. She bent down to fill her bucket, but something in the water caught her attention. At first, she thought it was sunlight reflecting on the surface. But then she saw it clearly. It was a small glowing fish, shimmering with color she had never seen before, almost like liquid jewels. The fish swam close to her, and for a moment their eyes met. Something magical happened. A warmth spread through Lily's chest, and the world around her seemed to hush. She reached out to touch the fish, and as soon as her fingers brushed the water, the fish vanished. In its place, she found a small white flower floating on the surface. When she picked up the flower, she felt a sudden rush of strange energy. The petals were warm, and the center of the flower seemed to glow faintly. She held it close, and for some reason, her heart began to beat faster. She didn't know why, but she felt as if the flower had been given to her for a reason. That night, as she lay in bed, the flower sat in a little glass of water beside her. She could not sleep. The moonlight spilled through her window, and the glow of the flower seemed to dance along with it. Just as she was about to drift off, she heard a soft knock on her window. Her heart jumped. Who could be knocking at this hour? She slowly got up and pulled back the curtain. Outside stood a young man she had never seen before. His hair was dark, his skin pale like hers, and his eyes. Oh, his eyes were unlike any she had seen. They were deep blue, glowing faintly like the river on a clear night. He smiled gently, as though he had been searching for her for a long time. "I believe you have something that belongs to me," he said, his voice low and calm. Lily's eyes darted to the flower. "This?" she asked. He nodded. "Yes, but more than that, I believe you have something else, my heart." Her breath caught in her throat. She didn't know this man, yet somehow his words felt like the truth. The man introduced himself as Adrian. He told her he was from a place far beyond the mountains, a land hidden by magic. The glowing fish she saw was not an ordinary creature, it was a guardian spirit that led him to her. The flower was a sign, a gift that meant their fates were now tied together. Lily wanted to laugh, to tell him it sounded like a fairy tale. But deep inside she knew it was real. Something about Adrian felt familiar, as if they had met before in a dream. They spoke for hours that night, under the watchful moon. He told her about his homeland, where the skies turned lavender at dusk and the rivers sparkled with silver light. She told him about her quiet life by the river, and how she always felt as though something was missing. When dawn began to paint the sky, Adrian took her hand gently. His touch was warm and a shiver ran through her. "This is only the beginning," he whispered. "But the path ahead will not be easy. There are forces that do not wish for our worlds to meet." Before she could ask what he meant, he stepped back into the fading night and disappeared, leaving her with only the flower and a heart full of questions. From that day on, Lily could not stop thinking about Adrian. Every sound of the river reminded her of his voice. Every glimpse of the moon reminded her of his eyes. She didn't know what lay ahead, but she knew one thing for certain: her life had just changed forever. And somewhere, far away in a world she had yet to see, Adrian stood on a cliff overlooking the magical valley of his home, holding a small piece of white cloth she had unknowingly dropped that night. He pressed it to his lips and whispered, "I will find you again, Lily. No matter the cost." The next morning, Lily woke up to the sound of rain tapping gently against her window. The air was cool, and the sky outside was painted with soft gray clouds. She sat up in bed, her mind still full of the memory of Adrian. She wondered if she had dreamed the whole thing. Maybe she was just imagining things. But then she turned her head and saw it, the glowing white flower sitting in its glass of water. The petals shimmered faintly, just as they had the night before. She reached out and touched it. The warmth was still there. No, it wasn't a dream. Lily tried to go about her usual chores that day. She fed the chickens, swept the floor, and tended to her garden. But every little sound made her turn her head, thinking Adrian might be standing there. She kept glancing at the river, half expecting the glowing fish to appear again. By midday, she could no longer ignore the pull in her heart. She walked to the riverbank, holding the flower in her hand. The rain had stopped, and the water looked like glass, reflecting the silver-gray sky. She stood there quietly, her bare feet sinking slightly into the damp earth. "Adrian," she whispered, feeling a little foolish. There was no answer, only the soft murmur of the river. She was about to turn back when a ripple moved across the water, even though there was no wind. Slowly, a figure began to rise from the surface, not walking on the water, but emerging from it as if the river had been a door. It was not Adrian. The figure was a woman, tall and graceful, with hair like flowing silver and eyes as sharp as crystal. She wore a long robe of deep blue that trailed behind her like water. Lily froze, unsure whether to run or stay. The woman's gaze fell on the flower in Lily's hand. Her expression tightened. "So, you are the one who holds the river blossom." Lily blinked. "What? The flower you carry is no ordinary bloom," the woman said, her voice calm but powerful. "It grows only once every 100 years, and only in the waters of my realm. It binds hearts together. Whoever receives it has been chosen for a destiny that cannot be broken." Lily's heart pounded. "Adrian gave it to me." The woman tilted her head slightly, her silver hair shimmering like moonlight. "Adrian is my brother." Lily's eyes widened. "Your brother?" "Yes," the woman said. "And if he gave you the river blossom, then you are already part of a story much greater than you realize. But you must understand our world is not safe for you. There are those who would use this bond against you both." Lily swallowed hard. "Why? What do they want?" The woman's gaze darkened. "The river blossom carries power, magic that can unite the human world and ours. Some want that power for peace. Others, for control. If they find you, they will not hesitate to take it from you, no matter the cost." A cold shiver ran down Lily's spine. She thought of Adrian's warning the night before. The woman stepped closer, her presence both calming and intimidating. "If you wish to see my brother again, you must follow the river upstream when the moon is full. But be warned, once you cross into our realm, there will be no turning back." Before Lily could speak, the woman stepped backward into the water and, with a slow ripple, sank beneath the surface until she was gone. Lily stood there for a long time, clutching the flower to her chest. She didn't know whether to feel afraid or excited. That night she couldn't sleep. The woman's words kept repeating in her mind. The moon would be full in just 3 nights. Should she really go? Her heart told her yes, but her mind was tangled in doubt. On the second night something strange happened. As she sat in her cottage, the glow of the flower suddenly brightened, filling the room with soft white light. And then she heard it, a faint voice, like a whisper carried on the wind. "Lily, follow the river." It was Adrian's voice. She rushed to the window, but the night outside was still and empty. She knew then that this was no longer a matter of choice. Something was calling her, pulling her toward him. When the third night came, Lily dressed warmly, slipped the flower into a small pouch, and made her way to the river. The full moon floated high in the sky, casting a silver path across the water. The air was quiet, almost too quiet, as if the world was holding its breath. She began walking upstream, the grass damp beneath her shoes. The further she went, the stranger the air felt warmer, yet full of a kind of buzzing energy. The trees grew taller, their leaves whispering in a language she couldn't understand. Fireflies drifted around her, but they glowed brighter than normal, as if made of pure magic. After a long walk, she came to a place where the river widened into a shimmering pool. At the center was a stone archway half covered in moss. The water beneath it glowed faintly, just like the flower in her pouch. Her breath caught. She knew this was the entrance. She stepped into the water, and instead of sinking, she felt herself being pulled forward gently, as if the river itself was carrying her. The moment she passed under the arch, the air shifted. The night sky exploded with stars brighter than she had ever seen. The trees shone with silver veins, and the river sparkled like liquid glass. She had crossed into Adrian's world. But before she could take another step, a shadow moved at the edge of her vision. From the darkness emerged 3 tall figures dressed in black armor, their eyes glowing like embers. One of them pointed a blade at her. "The human girl has come," he said in a low, dangerous voice. "Our master will be pleased." Lily's heart froze. And somewhere deeper in this magical land, Adrian felt a sharp pain in his chest. He knew she had arrived, and he knew she was already in danger. He began to run. The cold tip of the soldier's blade glinted under the silver starlight. Lily stood frozen in the shallow water, her heart thundering so loudly she was sure they could hear it. She gripped the small pouch against her chest, feeling the warm pulse of the river blossom. The tallest of the 3 soldiers stepped forward. His armor looked as though it had been forged from the shadows themselves, and his voice was smooth but chilling. "You carry what does not belong to you, human. Hand it over, and your death will be quick." Lily's breath caught in her throat. She didn't know what to do. Run. Fight. She was no warrior, and these men looked like they could crush her with one hand. Her mind screamed for Adrian, as if somehow he could hear her. And he could. Far away, through the glowing woods, Adrian was running faster than his feet had ever carried him. His heart beat in time with the magic of the river blossom, guiding him to her. He could feel her fear like a shadow pressing against his own chest. Just as the soldier raised his sword to strike, a flash of silver light shot through the trees. It was so bright that Lily had to shield her eyes. The next moment, a figure stood between her and the soldiers, a long blade in his hand. Adrian. His blue eyes burned like the heart of the ocean as he faced the men in black. "Touch her, and you will regret it." The soldier laughed, though there was a hint of unease in his tone. "The lost prince dares to show himself. Our master will be most pleased indeed." Lily's eyes widened. Lost prince. But before she could ask, Adrian moved with speed and precision, his sword clashing with the first soldier's blade. The sound rang out through the still night like a bell. Sparks flew with each strike, and the air thrummed with the force of their magic. The other 2 soldiers tried to move past Adrian toward Lily, but he twisted his sword, knocking one aside and kicking the other into the water with such force that the river itself seemed to swallow him. "Lily, run!" Adrian shouted over his shoulder. But Lily couldn't leave him, not when she had just found him again. Instead, she grabbed a fallen branch from the water's edge and swung it at the soldier who had regained his footing. It was a clumsy move, but it surprised him enough that Adrian could step in and knock the man to the ground. Within moments, the soldiers vanished into the trees, retreating with low, angry voices promising they would return. The silence that followed felt almost as loud as the fight. Adrian turned to Lily, breathing hard. "You shouldn't have come without me," he said, his voice both relieved and frustrated. Lily shook her head. "You told me to follow the river." He stared at her, confused. "I never." Then he paused, his expression darkening. "My sister." Lily nodded. "She told me how to find you. She said the full moon would open the way." Adrian's jaw tightened. "She means well, but she doesn't understand how dangerous this is for you." They began walking deeper into the magical forest, the glowing leaves lighting their path. Adrian explained as they moved, his voice low. The river blossom isn't just a symbol of our bond. It's ancient magic strong enough to join two worlds. But that magic can also be twisted into something terrible. That's why the Shadow Guard wants it. And why they want you. Lily listened, her fingers brushing the pouch where the flower rested. But why me? I'm just a girl from a quiet village. Adrian glanced at her with a faint smile. You're not just anything, Lily. The blossom doesn't choose lightly. It only blooms for someone whose heart is strong enough to face both love and danger. They reached a small clearing where a pool of crystal water reflected the stars above. Adrian knelt beside it, dipping his hand into the water. A shimmer spread out from his touch, and an image appeared on the surface, a towering castle made of white stone and silver glass. That's my home, he said softly. We'll be safe there for a time. But getting there won't be easy. The Shadow Guard will hunt us every step of the way. Lily stared at the image, her heart a strange mix of fear and excitement. She had never seen anything so beautiful, yet she knew it was surrounded by danger. Adrian stood and reached for her hand. His fingers were warm, his grip firm but gentle. If we're going to make it, we have to trust each other completely. No secrets, no lies. Lily nodded. Then tell me something, Adrian. Why did you say your heart belonged to me when we first met? He looked into her eyes, and for a moment, it felt as if the whole forest had gone still. Because it's the truth, he said simply. I've seen you in my dreams for years. I didn't know your name, but I knew your face, your voice. And that one day I'd find you. Before Lily could respond, a sudden rustle came from the trees. She turned, expecting more soldiers, but instead, a massive silver-winged creature stepped into the clearing. It looked like a mix between a horse and a dragon, its scales shimmering in the moonlight. Adrian smiled faintly. Our ride has arrived. The creature lowered itself, and Adrian helped Lily onto its back. The moment they were both seated, its wings spread wide, catching the light like sheets of silver silk. With a single powerful leap, it soared into the star-filled sky. Below them, the forest stretched endlessly, glowing rivers winding through it like veins of light. But far in the distance, moving fast, Lily saw dark shapes on the ground, riders in black armor, following their trail. She tightened her grip around Adrian's waist. They're coming. Adrian glanced back, his eyes hardening. Let them. They'll have to catch us first. The silver creature beat its wings faster, carrying them toward the glowing castle in the distance. But Lily couldn't shake the feeling that their journey was only beginning and that the real danger was waiting ahead. The silver-winged creature glided gracefully through the night sky, its wings slicing through the cool air. Below, the glowing rivers and shimmering forests of Adrian's world passed in a blur. Lily held onto him tightly, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat under her hands. The ride should have been beautiful and peaceful, but the thought of the Shadow Guard following them gnawed at her mind. After what felt like hours, the castle from the water's vision began to rise ahead of them. It was even more breathtaking up close. Its walls of white stone glimmered under the moonlight, and towers of silver glass caught and scattered the light like stars. High above, banners of deep blue fluttered in the wind, each marked with a crest shaped like a blooming flower surrounded by a ring of water. That's your family's crest? Lily asked softly. Yes, Adrian replied. The mark of the river court. My family has ruled here for centuries. But power always draws enemies inside and outside these walls. The creature landed on a marble terrace that overlooked the glowing valley. Adrian helped Lily down and spoke a soft word to the creature, which bowed its head before leaping into the air and vanishing into the night. Two guards in silver armor stepped forward. They looked surprised to see Adrian, then even more surprised when they noticed Lily. One of them, a tall man with sharp features, bowed. Your Highness, we thought you were lost beyond the human mountains. Your father feared the worst. I'm here now, Adrian said firmly. But I've brought someone who must be kept safe. They entered the castle, walking through long corridors lined with paintings of past rulers. The floors shone like polished ice, and magical lanterns floated above, casting soft, shifting light. Lily's senses were overwhelmed. The air here felt alive, carrying a faint hum like the distant echo of a song. When they reached the grand hall, a man sat on a throne of white stone and silver vines. His hair was like Adrian's, dark and glossy but streaked with silver, and his eyes were a piercing storm gray. His presence was commanding, and even before he spoke, Lily knew this was Adrian's father, the king of the river court. "Father," Adrian began, bowing respectfully. "This is Lily from the human realm. She holds the river blossom." The king's expression darkened immediately. His gaze swept over Lily, and for a moment she felt as though he could see every thought in her head. "You brought her here. Do you have any idea what danger you've put her in? What danger you've put all of us in?" Adrian straightened. "The Shadow Guard already knows about her. They attacked the moment she arrived. If I had left her in the human world, she would be dead." The king's jaw tightened, but he did not argue. Instead he looked at Lily. "Do you know what you carry, child?" She nodded slowly. "Your son told me it's powerful, that it can join our worlds." The king's eyes narrowed. "It can do much more than that. In the wrong hands, it can tear the veil between realms apart entirely. Wars have been fought for less." Lily felt a chill run down her spine. "Then why did it choose me?" The king's gaze softened just slightly. "Because you are connected to it by fate, though I do not yet know why." A servant entered then, whispering urgently in the king's ear. His expression darkened further. "The Shadow Guard is moving faster than expected. They may reach our borders by morning." Adrian's voice grew firm. "Then we must prepare." That night, Lily was given a chamber in the east wing. It was a beautiful room with tall windows, silk curtains, and a balcony that overlooked the glowing valley. But despite the beauty, she couldn't shake the tension in the air. The castle felt too quiet, as if holding its breath. Sometime after midnight, she woke up to a faint sound, a whispering voice. At first, she thought it was the wind, but when she sat up, she realized it was coming from her balcony. She stepped outside, and there, standing in the moonlight, was a figure cloaked in black. Her heart leapt. "Shadow Guard." Before she could cry out, the figure raised a hand. "Wait. I am not here to harm you." The hood fell back, revealing a young man with silver hair and eyes that glowed faintly blue. He looked almost like Adrian, though older. "My name is Elias," he said quietly. "I am Adrian's brother." Lily stared. "But he never mentioned you." A bitter smile touched Elias's lips. "I'm not surprised. The river court would rather forget I exist. You see, I am not like Adrian. I once served the Shadow Guard." Lily's stomach tightened. "If you were one of them, why are you here now?" "Because they will stop at nothing to take the river blossom from you, and I know how to keep it safe. But you must leave this place. The castle is not the safe haven Adrian believes it to be." Lily hesitated. "Why should I believe you?" Elias stepped closer, his eyes fixed on hers. "Because there is someone inside these walls who is already working with the Shadow Guard. If you stay, they will take you before sunrise." Her pulse quickened. "Who?" Elias shook his head. "I can't tell you yet. But if you want to survive and if you want Adrian to live, you must trust me." She wanted to refuse, to run straight to Adrian, but something in Elias's tone carried the weight of truth. Still, her heart ached with uncertainty. From somewhere deep in the castle, a bell suddenly rang, a sharp, urgent sound that shattered the stillness of the night. Elias's expression hardened. "It's already begun. You have minutes, maybe less." Lily's thoughts spun wildly. Who could be betraying them from inside? Could Elias really be telling the truth? And at that exact moment, far across the castle in the war chamber, Adrian stood facing his father, who held a scroll in his hands, sealed with the black crest of the Shadow Guard. The seal had already been broken. The war chamber smelled faintly of burning candles and old parchment. Adrian stared at the broken seal in his father's hands, his heart pounding with a dread he couldn't yet name. "Who brought this?" Adrian asked. The king's expression was hard, unreadable. "A messenger from our own court." He claimed it was urgent. Adrian's eyes narrowed. "Our own court. Father, that means—" "Yes," the king cut in sharply. "Someone here is working with them." Before they could speak further, the bell rang through the halls, urgent, sharp, and impossible to ignore. Adrian's stomach dropped. He didn't have to guess what it meant. "Lily," he breathed, and without another word, he ran from the chamber. On the east balcony, Lily stood frozen between Elias's warning and the sound of the alarm echoing across the castle. "Come," Elias urged, stepping closer. "We can still slip out through the servants' passage before they find you." "I can't just disappear without telling Adrian," she said, her voice trembling. Elias's jaw tightened. "If you stay, you won't live to explain anything." But before she could answer, the sound of rushing footsteps came from the corridor. Adrian burst through the balcony doors, sword in hand, his eyes locking instantly on Elias. "You," Adrian growled. "What are you doing here?" Elias didn't flinch. "Saving her life. There's a traitor in your walls." "I know," Adrian said coldly. "It's you." Lily's heart twisted. "No," he said. "He was banished years ago for siding with the Shadow Guard," Adrian snapped. "Do you think they just let people walk away?" Elias's voice stayed calm, but there was a shadow in his eyes. "I did what I had to do to survive. But believe me, I am not your enemy tonight." The tension between the brothers was like a storm waiting to break. Then, from somewhere below, the deep boom of the main gates shattering tore through the air. The castle shook faintly beneath their feet. "They're here," Elias said grimly. Adrian looked at Lily. "Stay behind me. No matter what." But the moment he spoke, black armored soldiers began pouring onto the balcony from the far side, their eyes glowing like burning coals. The leader, a tall figure in jagged armor, stepped forward. His voice was like iron scraping against stone. "The girl," he commanded. "Give her to us, and your lives may be spared." Adrian raised his sword. "Over my dead body." Elias drew two curved blades from his belt and moved to stand on Lily's other side. "Then let's make sure they regret asking." The fight erupted like thunder. Steel clashed against steel, sparks flying in the moonlight. Adrian's strikes were sharp and precise, each movement driven by both skill and fury. Elias fought with fluid, almost dancer-like motions, his twin blades weaving a deadly silver arc. Lily stayed back at first, clutching the pouch with the river blossom inside, but when a soldier broke past the brothers and lunged for her, she swung a heavy candlestick with all her strength. The blow landed against his helmet, sending him stumbling into the balcony rail. "Good," Adrian called over his shoulder. "But keep moving." The leader of the Shadow Guard advanced toward her then, forcing her back step by step. His voice was cold. "You don't even understand the power you carry. Give it to me, and your pain will end." Lily's heart raced, but something inside her, something deep and bright, rose up against his words. She reached into the pouch and pulled out the river blossom. The petals flared with a light so pure it cut through the shadows. The leader recoiled, hissing like a wounded beast. The glow grew brighter, washing over the entire balcony. Adrian and Elias both turned toward her, their eyes wide not in fear but in awe. The magic of the blossom surged through her veins, filling her with warmth and strength. She didn't know how she knew what to do, but the moment she raised the flower toward the sky, a burst of silver light exploded outward. The soldiers were thrown back as if by a wave, their armor smoking where the light touched it. The leader let out a roar and vanished into the darkness, taking the remnants of his forces with him. When the light faded, the balcony was quiet except for the sound of Lily's quickened breathing. Her knees buckled, and Adrian caught her before she could fall. "You did it," he said softly, pride and relief in his voice. Elias sheathed his blades and gave her a faint nod. Seems the blossom chose wisely after all. The king arrived moments later, flanked by his silver guards. His gaze moved from the scattered black armor to Lily, then to Adrian. "The Shadow Guard will not stop," he said gravely. "But tonight, you've shown them that this bond is not so easily broken." That night, the castle lit its great torches, and the fires burned until morning. Adrian stayed by Lily's side, never letting go of her hand. When the first light of dawn touched the valley, Adrian looked at her with a small, almost shy smile. "I told you my heart belonged to you. Now I think the rest of me does too." Lily laughed softly, though her eyes shimmered. "Then I guess we're both stuck with each other." Somewhere in the shadows of the courtyard, Elias watched them quietly before disappearing into the forest. His path uncertain but his warning still lingering. The war wasn't over. The danger wasn't gone. But as the sun rose over the white towers of the river court, Lily knew one thing: whatever came next, she and Adrian would face it together. And perhaps in the end, love was the most powerful magic of all. Then, don't forget to like, comment and share.